demand that be clean enough to move to the Everglades. So, and ultimately our editorial board did support this latest version of Senate Bill 10 that Senate President Joe Negron is supporting. And in part, it all hinges on one very specific part of the bill. There is a specific model that is called for the dynamic model for stormwater treatment areas. And this modeling tool has to prove that it will all work before any of this can get started. And for us, they sure as hell better prove that it will work before they spend all the money on this project. And it's a lot to hook on. So that also gets to your question about the option for U.S. sugar land. The option would be terminated under two conditions. It's either if they acquire all of the land needed for the reservoir, or the A1 is authorized for changes by Congress. So maybe Congressman Mass can...
A1 is already
A2, sorry, A2.
I was the former riverkeeper. I was also with DEP for 34 years with the state park system. I've been working with Orca now, doing their legislative work, so I'm not the scientist in the room here. Edie had a previous commitment, or she would have been here. But Dr. Wittard has been doing some research and looking into things and talking to a lot of folks. And as everyone up here has said, there's no direct linkage right now. There's not a lot of speculation, and there's more research that's needed. There are some studies that are out, which I gave one to Tyler this afternoon, or earlier today, that shows a linkage between non-alcoholic liver disease and cyanobacteria blooms. It has a map with different colorations on it. It was a University of Ohio study. And a big red splotch in Florida is right in these counties here. So those are the types of things that we're starting to look at. There's some folks in the University of Miami that are doing some research on the BMAA issue and cyanobacteria issues. But the human health issues are not strictly just linked to the lagoon anymore, folks. Lagoon health and human health are directly correlated. I do believe that, and I think most other people that are studying this are coming to believe that also.
It has to be publicly scrutinized and looked at independently from the district and from the court. I mean, that's the point that they're trying to make in this bill, is that if they can't prove that these treatment facilities are going to work, and storage and treatment and moving the water south, then it can't go forward. But the problem is if in the meantime you lose the option, you lose other things, you lose other potential to actually make it work. So there's a lot of concern over this bill moving forward, and just with these kind of ifs in there. This tendency to say, we're putting all this towards it, but the premise is back to where, yes, we want something to work. We want an EA storage option to work, because it's part of the comprehensive Everglades plan back in 2000. And as Tyler said, we bought the A1 and A2 under Talisman property to make it work. It was actually started construction in 2006. But in 2008, when the U.S. sugar option, can I point to that real quick? I'm sorry. But this, for those of you who don't know, the U.S. Sugar Corporation formed in 1930 with 187,000 acres right on the south rim of the lake. Okay, and then in the 1950s and 60s, the Fayol family moved from Cuba, and they owned about another 200,000 acres. And then you have a cooperative that owns several other acreages. So there's three big kind of sugar industries there. But the U.S. Sugar wanted to divest of all of that back in the year 2008. So in that time, then Governor Chris was making a deal for $1.7 billion to buy all 187,000 acres. But instead, the option came in 2010 because the economy tanked. We only bought 27,000 acres. That was a piece up here and a piece over here by the STA going this way. So those two pieces were the only thing, but there was an option for 10 years till 2020 to buy the remaining 150,000 acres. Okay, so that is still on the table, and that's the option the gentleman here wanted to say. The A1 and A2 were the original site for 30,000 acres to use as a deep storage, 12 to 14 feet deep, as the EA storage, about 120 billion gallons of storage. But remember, it's dynamic storage. It's supposed to go in, store it, treat it, and move it on south. Somebody brought up capacity, and I'm glad you did. There are 6 outlets from Lake Okeechobee, 6. The 3 here that you see, Miami, North New River, Hillsborough Canal, and Yelly, those are owned by the South Florida Water Management District and controlled by the Water Management. The Corps of Engineers owns the other 3, the St. Lucie Canal, the Caloosahatchee Canal, and the L8 or 10A Canal. So those are 3 by the Corps, which regulates the level in the lake and discharges east-west or down the L8, and then these are regulated by the district. Well, the capacity here, total capacity, meaning how much water can you flow through these structures, is 3,800 cubic feet per second, while the capacity east and west is 17,000 cubic feet per second. So when we need conveyance capacity, inclusive of this project, is to move that water, somebody brought up, from there to the reservoir, wherever that reservoir is. The reason 60,000 acres came up was because the 2 lands he mentioned, A1 and A2, were already committed to restoration strategies and to the Central Everglades Planning Project. Those to be kept shallow at 4 feet deep, not 12 feet. So when they were both committed, Senator Negron looked back at the original plan in 2000, which called for 60,000 acres at 6 feet deep. So you get the same 120 billion gallon storage with 6 feet deep versus 30,000 acres at 12 or 14. So the idea of having to go back to use A1 and A2 is interesting, and we already own the land, but they've been committed to other things. So part of the bill is this post-authorization approval or change. This authorization was already done federally. Back in last year, the Central Everglades Planning Project already approved A2 to be used as a flow equalization basin. So now they have to go back to Congress and basically say we want a post-authorization change. And if that doesn't happen, then certain things have to happen in this bill to make it work. They have to find additional acreage somewhere in here to make it work. And the problem is, let me just say, last year we had, as Tyler mentioned, we had over 200 billion going to us, 500 something billion. There were 737 billion gallons going east and west. There was only 48 billion gallons from the lake going south, while the EAA got to put 432 billion gallons into the Everglades. And they did that all through these stormwater treatment areas that you and I paid for. That we paid $1.2 billion originally to buy 57 acres, all this blue area you see here. And then we paid another, now we're going to pay another $880 million through this restoration strategies to continue to treat that water before it can move south. And that water I'm talking about is primarily the EA runoff.
The sugar industry is pushing to get in the bill that they will not use eminent domain to take anything.
It's in the
Is it in the bill? Okay, that's it. It is in the bill. So you lose the option, government loses the power of eminent domain. Again, if all these things don't fall into place, where does that leave us? It leaves you where we were last summer.
It's a waste of our time.
Sorry?
It's a specific piece of legislation here in our community, as I have the original version of SB 10. So the latest version allows them to terminate the option. For those of you who don't remember, they once were a willing seller, they're no longer a willing seller. So this latest version of the bill has an out for them, and that's probably why they're fighting it less. So this is the most politically fraught system of water probably in the country. I mean, you can make a case for maybe the Chesapeake Bay, and they are very powerful players.
I'd say one thing on that too.
The reality is, as I think Tyler alluded to earlier, is even if Senate Bill 10 in its current form passes, there's a lot of things that still have to happen before you actually, achieve what it seeks to achieve. They have to acquire another, 10,000 acres of land? Well, they got to find a willing seller for that, right? So how are they going to do that? If you get rid of the option on the land, and then all those other pieces don't fall into place, the study you've talked about doesn't show, that it's going to work. Now you have no option left on the land, and you're kind of back to square one. So
What about
fact that I received a guest column submission from U.S. Sugar about Mark Perry, and I passed because it didn't conform to our guidelines for guest columns. They actually took out an ad. To publish that. So that's just part of the campaign we've seen in the community. It's been vocal, but I want to say something about price supports for sugar, which we touched on. It's kind of this issue hanging in the air above our specific water quality issues. So back in 08, 09, there was a lot more talk about reforming the Farm Bill to remove those price supports for sugar. There was a group called the Coalition for Sugar Reform. There was a lot of candy makers and things like that pushing for reforms, but it was also free market advocates because they aligned there. And they were getting some press and they were getting some attention, and I wonder, and this is speculation, if that's part of why U.S. Sugar agreed to the land deal with Charlie Crist at the time. Maybe they saw the winds changing. Now, I'm not hearing as much about reform. Every congressman we elect, and I don't know if Congressman Mass is still here, before Mass, I've asked if they will support reforms to the Farm Bill to take away those price supports for sugar, and the answer's always been, no, it's a food supply. And that's kind of a hard answer.
Well, we don't need it in
Kind of a hard answer to swallow. I've seen Bud Jordan raising his hand for a while. Bud Jordan knows something about U.S. Sugar, and I'll call you out here, but I wrote a column about him because he very publicly resigned from the Economic Council of Martin County.
Biggest problem is the Sugar Boys have 50 lobbyists in Tallahassee and 100 plus in Washington, D.C. They spend $14 to $15 million a year protecting their backside. That's part of the problem. The real problem is any column ever written about this lake will tell you how dangerous that dike is. They're going to get a Category 1 storm one of these days, and when they do, it will overtop that dike, and that's criminal as far as I'm concerned, because they have known we wanted to do this for 80 years. And they know how dangerous it is. Otherwise, they would not report on the radio 2.5 weeks after Matthew passed that the danger to the dike has passed. They know it. We know it. They should evacuate 40,000 people every time there's a big problem. They have never done it. They did it in California.